General Hospital spoilers reveal that the passing of Tristan Rogers at the age of 79 has sent shockwaves through the General Hospital universe, particularly with the heartbreaking loss of his iconic character, Robert Scorpio. Known for his complex, heroic, and sometimes morally ambiguous role as a dedicated lawman and father, Robert's death is not just a tragic event for the characters on the screen, but a profound moment for the fans who have followed his journey for decades. The storyline surrounding Robert had always been filled with intrigue, suspense, and moments of deep personal conflict, and his sudden death marks the end of an era within the show. But with his passing comes a tidal wave of emotional turmoil, not just for his colleagues in the WSB, but for his family and the entire Port Charles community. Anna, Robert's ex-wife, is at the center of the grief storm, as she finds herself overwhelmed with sorrow over the death of her former partner. Despite their complicated history, filled with love, betrayal, and the bittersweet remnants of a relationship that never quite seemed to work, Anna's grief is palpable. She had always hoped for some sort of reconciliation with Robert, even if unspoken, and now, faced with his death, she is left with nothing but the haunting finality of lost opportunities. Her mourning process is further compounded by the tension of having never fully resolved their complex emotions. For Anna, Robert's death is not just the loss of a man she once loved, but the closing of a chapter she never thought would end this way. Equally heart-wrenching is the pain felt by Emma, Robert's granddaughter, who is now forced to face the loss of her grandfather. Emma's relationship with Robert had always been one filled with warmth and affection, and his role in her life as a guiding figure is now abruptly taken away. Emma's grief echoes Anna's, but with the added layer of a child's sense of confusion and abandonment. As a young woman, Emma must now process the fact that her grandfather, who had been a constant source of strength and wisdom, will no longer be there to guide her. The emotional weight on both Anna and Emma is immense, as they navigate a world without the presence of Robert Scorpio, the man who had been so integral to both of their lives. However, the story does not end with sorrow. The unexpected arrival of Robert's daughter, Robin, at his funeral introduces a pivotal and surprising twist to the narrative. Robin's return is a significant adjustment in the ongoing storyline, as she has been absent from Port Charles for a considerable time. Her presence at her father's funeral is not just a moment of family reunion, it is a harbinger of new tensions, unresolved family dynamics, and the resurgence of a character whose return could set off a chain reaction of revelations. Robin, whose complex relationship with her father and her family has always been a cornerstone of her character's development, now returns to the scene of Robert's death, bringing with her not only the grief of losing a parent but also the potential for healing, conflict, and deeper exploration of her legacy. The storylines surrounding Robin's return are poised to explode, as her presence is not only a reminder of Robert's lasting impact on those around him, but also a vehicle for exploring unresolved family secrets, the shifting dynamics of the Scorpio family, and the emotional depth that her return brings. Her grief, while personal, also opens the door for new storylines to emerge, ones that dive deep into family history, the burdens of legacy, and the complicated nature of returning to a place filled with both love and unresolved tension. This shift in the storyline, with Robin's sudden return during such a pivotal moment, represents one of the most powerful adjustments in the narrative direction of General Hospital. It highlights not just the reverberating effects of Robert's death, but also the intricate layers of emotion that accompany the return of a character who carries both the weight of her father's legacy and the struggles of her own personal journey. Robin's presence at Robert's funeral is more than just an emotional moment for the family. It is a catalyst that will undoubtedly push the story in new, dramatic directions. As Port Charles grapples with the loss of Robert Scorpio, the emotional chaos surrounding his death continues to evolve. Anna and Emma's sorrow, combined with Robin's unexpected return, will reshape the future of the Scorpio family and Port Charles itself. The shockwaves from Robert's passing are only beginning, and with the unveiling of long-buried family secrets, complex emotional reckonings, and new connections being formed, General Hospital is entering a new era marked by deep familial ties, heartbreaking goodbyes, and the endless pursuit of redemption and understanding. The return of Robin is just the beginning of this new chapter, one that promises to bring both healing and more unexpected twists to a beloved storyline. The return of Robin Scorpio to Port Charles represents not just a pivotal moment for General Hospital but an emotional seismic shift that will reverberate throughout the town. The announcement that Kimberly McCullough, the beloved actress who portrays Robin, is reprising her role in what has been described as one of the most explosive twists in recent memory has sent fans into a frenzy. Robin, who has been absent for quite some time, is set to return not just as a familiar face but as a character deeply intertwined with the legacy of her father, Robert Scorpio, whose sudden death has already shaken the very foundation of Port Charles. As the Scorpio family grapples with the profound loss, Robin's return offers a glimmer of hope, but also raises new questions about the future of the family and what legacy Robert leaves behind. Robin's relationship with her father has always been complicated, filled with love, loss, and unresolved tension. Robert was a character whose moral compass often conflicted with his duty, and his history was dotted with instances of betrayal, sacrifice, and redemption. For Robin, the emotional burden of being the daughter of such a complex man has been heavy, but it has also shaped her into a woman of strength, compassion, and resolve. Her professional life, her relationships, and her choices have all been influenced by her father's legacy. However, Robert's sudden death, combined with the deep emotional wounds it left in his family, now opens a new chapter in Robin's story. The news of Robert's passing has left Anna devastated, Emma heartbroken, and the Scorpio family reeling, with the weight of Robert's absence felt in every corner of Port Charles. Robin's return isn't merely about filling the void left by Robert. It's about reclaiming the legacy he left behind, one that Robin, as his daughter, is uniquely positioned to carry forward. But with that legacy comes tremendous pressure. Robin's return to Port Charles will force her to navigate the complex and often painful relationships she has with her family. As Anna struggles with her grief over Robert's death, Robin will be faced with the challenge of reconciling her own emotions. Anna and Robin's relationship has always been fraught with unresolved tension, much of it stemming from their shared love for Robert. Now, with Robert gone, Anna's grief will be compounded by guilt and regret, while Robin will have to confront her own lingering feelings about her father's legacy. As Robin steps into the role of carrying on Robert's legacy, she is not just honoring the man who was once her father, she is also forced to reckon with the deep wounds that his actions left behind. In the years since his death, Robin has moved on, carving out a life for herself in the medical field, building a family, and finding peace. But now, returning to Port Charles and stepping into her father's shoes, Robin must confront her own past, her unresolved feelings for Robert, and the tension that has long existed between her and Anna. Her return will challenge the status quo, testing the boundaries of forgiveness, redemption, and reconciliation. The emotional complexity of Robin's return is further heightened by the fact that Emma, Robert's granddaughter, will also be deeply affected by the death of her grandfather. Emma, like Robin, has always struggled with the absence of her grandfather in her life. Growing up without Robert was difficult for Emma, as she never had the chance to develop a deep relationship with him. Robert's death leaves Emma with an overwhelming sense of loss and confusion, especially as she navigates the complex feelings surrounding her own relationship with Robin. The return of her aunt, while initially a moment of emotional healing, will also force Emma to confront the pain of growing up without Robert and the realities of losing a grandfather she never truly had the chance to know. The return of Robin also promises to reignite old family dynamics and create new conflicts, particularly with Patrick, her ex-husband. Their history is complicated, marked by love, loss, and the painful memories of their daughter's birth and death. Patrick has moved on in his own way, and his relationship with Robin has always been fraught with unspoken words and unresolved feelings. As Robin returns to Port Charles, she will have to face the reality that Patrick's life has moved forward without her. Whether their connection can be rekindled or if their differences will drive them further apart remains to be seen, but what is certain is that their reunion will not be an easy one. For General Hospital, Robin's return is a game-changer, a moment that opens the door to new storytelling possibilities, rich with emotional complexity and family drama. The show has always excelled at weaving deep emotional arcs into its narratives, and Robin's return will be no exception. As she steps back into Port Charles, she will not only confront the legacy of her father but also the legacy of her own choices and relationships. Her return promises to be a journey of self-discovery, healing, and growth, as she faces the ghosts of her past and the complexities of her future. But beyond the personal drama, Robin's return also represents a shift in the larger General Hospital narrative. Her arrival signals a deeper exploration of family, loyalty, and the price of carrying the weight of legacy. In a town as filled with secrets and lies as Port Charles, Robin's return will force everyone to confront their own pasts, their own choices, and the future they are building. From the moment she sets foot in the town, the repercussions of her return will be felt across every corner of Port Charles, as the Scorpio family begins to rebuild, reconnect, and face the difficult truths that have been buried for far too long. What makes Robin's return so compelling is that it is not just a homecoming, it is a reckoning. It is the beginning of a new chapter for the Scorpio family, one that promises to unravel old wounds, open new possibilities, and explore the deep emotional undercurrents that have always defined this family. Robin's journey will not be easy, but it will be one of redemption, healing, and ultimately, transformation. For the fans who have followed Robin's journey over the years, her return will be an emotional roller coaster, one that brings both pain and hope, and ultimately, a deeper understanding of the complexity of family, love, and the legacies we leave behind. Robin Scorpio is returning to Port Charles not just to honor her father's memory, but to carve her own path and to challenge the boundaries of what it means to carry on a legacy. As General Hospital prepares to tell this next chapter of Robin's story, viewers can expect nothing less than an explosive, emotionally charged journey filled with twists, revelations, and the kind of deep family drama that has always been at the heart of this iconic show. The Scorpio family's legacy is far from over, and Robin's return is proof that the story is just beginning to unfold. The return of Sasha Gilmore to Port Charles is set to unravel more than just old connections. It will ignite a series of events that threaten to shatter the delicate peace that has settled over the town. Sasha's long-awaited return comes at a time when the shadows of past secrets are starting to creep back into the lives of the people she left behind. The shocking death of Robert Scorpio has not only left an emotional void in Port Charles, but it has also set off a cascade of revelations that are slowly unraveling the town's tangled web of deceit, betrayal, and unspoken truths. Sasha's return to the canvas is not just another storyline, it is a key piece in the complex puzzle surrounding Robert's death and the emotional chaos that is about to explode. As Sasha steps back into the picture, she becomes an unexpected and pivotal player in the unraveling mystery, forcing old wounds to resurface and creating new alliances, and animosities, within the Scorpio family. The question of Robert Scorpio's death has haunted Port Charles for weeks. His sudden demise has left questions lingering in the air like a toxic fog, with no clear answers in sight. The circumstances surrounding his death are murky, filled with speculation, and the people closest to him, Anna, Robin, and Emma, are still grappling with the loss. But with Sasha's return, things are about to take an even darker turn. As the pieces of Robert's death slowly come into focus, it becomes increasingly clear that Sasha is far more connected to this tragedy than anyone could have anticipated. She isn't just returning as a daughter, a sister, or a friend, she is returning as a woman who holds the key to unlocking the deepest secrets of Robert's death, and the explosive revelations that will follow. Sasha's connection to Robert, and by extension to the Scorpio family, has always been a complicated one. While she is not as directly tied to the family as Robin, her return brings with it the opportunity to dive deeper into the complex family dynamics that have shaped both her life and Robin's. Sasha and Robin, though not always close, share a bond that goes beyond blood. They share a history of loss, of struggle, and of surviving in a world that has never fully accepted them. Their shared experience of heartbreak and tragedy creates an unspoken understanding between them, and Sasha's return to Port Charles forces both women to confront their past and the consequences of the decisions they've made along the way. But with Robert's death looming as a central mystery, their bond is about to be tested in ways neither woman could have foreseen. As Sasha begins to reconnect with Robin and the rest of the Scorpio family, the relationship between the two sisters takes center stage. Their dynamic is far more than just familial. It is a complex mixture of trust, betrayal, and the pain of years spent apart. Robin, who has always been the emotional anchor of the Scorpio family, must now navigate her own grief while trying to understand where Sasha fits into the larger narrative of Robert's death. Sasha, on the other hand, is not the same woman she was when she left Port Charles. She has been through her own personal journey, one that has hardened her in ways Robin may not fully understand. Their reunion, while filled with emotional tension, also sparks a deepening bond between them, as they realize they need each other now more than ever. Together, they must uncover the truth about Robert's death and the dark forces that have been pulling the strings from the shadows. The impact of Sasha's return extends beyond just the Scorpio family. Her presence in Port Charles will send shockwaves through the town, forcing many to confront their past mistakes and secrets. There are those who will see her as a threat, those who will welcome her return with open arms, and those who will be torn between their loyalty to the Scorpio family and their personal connections to Sasha. As the mystery of Robert's death unfolds, Sasha becomes both a key player and a symbol of the complicated relationships that exist within Port Charles. She is not just the daughter of a powerful family, she is a woman who has been deeply scarred by her experiences and is now ready to confront the darkest truths of her past. With the unresolved mystery of Robert's death at the forefront of the storyline, Sasha's return is more than just a personal one, it is a catalyst for a dramatic and emotional journey that will impact everyone in Port Charles. The bond between Robin and Sasha will evolve as they begin to piece together the fragments of the truth that have been hidden for so long. As the story unfolds, it becomes increasingly clear that the key to understanding Robert's death lies in the hands of those who were closest to him, his family, his friends, and those who have long been keeping secrets of their own. Sasha's return is a powerful reminder that no one in Port Charles is truly free from the weight of their past, and that the scars of betrayal, loss, and deception can never be fully erased. The emotional stakes are higher than ever as General Hospital weaves a tangled web of family dynamics, secrets, and the slow-burning quest for justice. Sasha's return is not just about healing old wounds, it is about uncovering the truth, confronting the lies that have held the Scorpio family together for so long, and finally breaking free from the chains that have kept them trapped in a cycle of tragedy and pain. As the mystery of Robert's death continues to unfold, Sasha's role in the story becomes more and more significant, and the connections between her, Robin, and the rest of the Scorpio family will drive the narrative forward in ways that are both unexpected and thrilling. In the end, the return of Sasha is a reminder that every character in Port Charles is shaped by their past, and that the only way to move forward is to confront the painful truths that have been buried for too long. As the Scorpio family begins to heal and rebuild, Sasha and Robin must learn to trust each other, face the horrors of the past, and discover what it truly means to be family. The road ahead will be long and filled with emotional challenges, but one thing is certain, Sasha's return will change everything, and the explosive revelations that follow will shake Port Charles to its very core.